Welcome back to the program. Rwanda has decided to recall its ambassador to France after Defense Minister James Kabarebe was summoned to appear before a magistrate investigating the death of former President Juvenal Habyarimana in 1994. The Rwanda news agency reports that Jacques Kabale was recalled to the country for consultations after an anti-terrorism magistrate in France decided to summon Mr. Kabarebe for questioning. This comes after a witness accused the Rwandan Patriotic Army, the former rebel group now in power in Kigali, of downing the plane carrying Mr. Habyarimana on April 6, 1994. France hasn't had an ambassador to Rwanda since the departure of Michel Fletch in 2015, after Kigali failed to approve the appointment of his successor. The downing of the plane is considered to have helped fuel the genocide, which left about 800,000 Rwandans dead. Mozambique President Filipe Nyusi has sacked 3 top security officials 2 weeks after an attack on police stations. Government sources say the head of the spy agency, the police force, and the army are involved in the shake-up. Their replacements are yet to be named, and no reason has been given for their dismissals, but fingers are pointing to complicity on the attacks that took place on October the 5th and 6th in the town of Mokimbwa de Praia, near the border with Tanzania, that left 2 officers and 14 attackers dead. Police initially said the attackers were linked to homegrown Islamic extremist sets, but later retracted the statement, saying they were unconnected to any organized group. United States envoy to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, is in Africa. Or she's still in Africa, that is, as she visited Gambela in western Ethiopia, where nearly 350,000 refugees have flooded across the border from South Sudan since a civil war broke out in 2013. Haley says she had a heavy heart after seeing the refugees, saying South Sudan's President Salva Kiir needed to be held accountable for the tragedies he had caused to people in his country. Haley will this week be the most senior member of U.S. President Donald Trump's administration to visit South Sudan, where she is due to meet with President Salva Kiir.
My heart is heavy. You can't look at this group of people and say that anyone deserves this. And the fact that this is a man-made conflict, that one man has done so much harm to so many people, it's heartbreaking. And to see the survival spirit that they've had to endure is unbelievable. How can the international community allow this to go on? At some point, President Kiir needs to be held accountable for all of the tragedy that he's caused these people. This is an international crisis. This is not just Ethiopia's problem. This is an international crisis. And when you look at the thousands of people here, and you see that they're supposed to have one health clinic for 10,000 people, and there's 86,000 people in one clinic, it's wrong. I mean, they're trying to make ends meet by, working off of food shortages, but at some point you have to look and say, no one deserves to live like this.
United States envoy to the United Nations, Nikki Haley. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez is also in Africa. He began his 4-day visit yesterday to the Central African Republic, visiting wounded UN peacekeepers and laying a wreath to fallen peacekeepers who served the UN mission there. Gutierrez was greeted by cheers in Bangui, where he shook hands with people lining the streets. He praised the heroic contribution of the peacekeepers protecting civilians at the ceremony while attending to the peacekeepers in hospital who were wounded in 2 separate attacks in Pombolo a few days ago.
I'm very proud to be your colleague. I'm very proud to serve in the same United Nations where you serve. And I want to tell all of you, Blue Helmets that are here with us, that we count on you to make the UN always more effective serving the people. We are here to serve the people, to sacrifice ourselves for the people we care for. And your example is something that I will always remember. Your sacrifice is something that the UN will always honor. And I want to say that we need to make sure that the world fully appreciates the heroic contribution of peacekeepers, protecting civilians sometimes in extremely difficult circumstances like the ones we face in Central African Republic.
As we end the program today, we go to a fashion show held in London, United Kingdom, that highlights Somali-born model Halima Aden, the first supermodel in a hijab. Aden says she wants to champion the cause of refugee children who have similar experience to hers.
Supermodel Halima Aden was the highlight of a modest fashion show that held in London over the weekend. Aden, the first supermodel in a hijab, who's walked the catwalk at New York and Milan Fashion Weeks, has been billed as one of the top fashion finds of the year. 7 designers from Oman, Morocco, Britain, and Indonesia showcased their collection with the eye on the lucrative modest wear, fashionable clothes that cover most of the body.
Muslim women love fashion. If you go to the streets of Dubai, it would not be uncommon to see a Chanel bag associated with a hijab. So it's just a matter of now incorporating Muslim women on the catwalks.
A former refugee, Aden made headlines as the first hijab and burkini sporting contestant to take part in the Miss Minnesota USA pageant. The bold move catapulted her career to new heights involving many firsts, including being the first hijabi signed by a major modeling agency. The 20-year-old supermodel, who was born in Kakuma, a United Nations refugee camp in Kenya, says her Islamic faith was compatible with being a fashion model.
I always talk about my upbringing, and of course it was difficult, but now I'm at a position where I'm privileged enough to work with UNICEF and try to bring change to kids who experience some of the things that I have.
Among the guests at the Fashion Week was Mariah Idrissi, who became the first to model for clothing brand H&M. She says models in hijab sent out a positive message about Muslims like herself.
I think it's so powerful because through entertainment, through fashion, these are really subtle ways of obviously promoting not just obviously the fashion side, but us as people as well. So whoever has these misinterpretations of what Islam represents, if there are role models who are out there who happen to wear a hijab, it just makes things a lot easier for us.
In the past 2 years, the hijab has gone mainstream with advertisers, media giants and fashion firms promoting images of the traditional headscarf in ever more ways.
Remarkable stuff from Halima Aden. And that's how we end the program Network Africa. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balu.